Okay, Almonul Kohen Gadol. Now, the halach is, just an introduction, the wife of a Kohen, even though she's not a Bas Kohen, she could eat Truma. Right? The slave of a Kohen eats Truma. Right? Why? Because Torah says it's called Kinyan Kesef. It's his Kinyan, it's his asset. So, what about if she's not permitted to him? Let's say an Almona marries a Kohen Gadol and has a relationship with her. So what happens to her? She becomes a Zona. So if that's the case, she's not, even though she's not permitted. No, even though she's the wife, she's not permitted to eat Truma. So let's say she has an asset. She has an asset. Let's say she has an Evet Kanani. Could a slave eat? A slave can't eat. If, let's say, you have a wife who's the wife of a Kohen, permitted to a Kohen, and she has an Evet Kanani, now the husband marries her. So since she's permitted to eat Truma, so therefore the slave could. But here with the Almona, she's not permitted to Kohen, and the moment he has relationship, she becomes a Chalola, because she's a Zona. So then what? Her slave can't canola, because since she can't eat, the slave can't eat. Nothing. Well, it depends. Let's say Nichse Muluk, he only gets the profits, but the asset belongs to her. It's the Gemara, the Mishnah is Michal between Nichse Tzom Barzel and Nichse Muluk, which we'll discuss in a moment. Okay?
So you can work the slave, but you can't own the slave.
He doesn't know. She owns the slave.
You can work the slave.
I don't work the slave.
You can say,
The benefits of the slave he has.
exactly. Right. So either way, whether she's a slave, a Bethula or an Almana, it's not.
Almon makes no difference. Almon is not permitted to a Kohen Gadol.
If it was a single woman.
Married to a Kohen Gadol, so she's permitted to him. No, we're going to be mechalik. We're going to differentiate. Gemara said, Amon l'kohen gadol grusha v'chalutza kohen hedget. Grusha is not permitted. Hechnis lo eved avdi mulug v'avdi tzom barzel. She brought into the marriage avdi mulug. We'll see Rashi in a moment. And avdi tzom barzel. Tzom barzel means like iron. Iron is secure. Avdi mulug lo yochlu b'truma. If they're avdi mulug, they cannot eat truma. Avdi means that she owns the asset. She bring it in the marriage. He has the benefits of the asset. Nichse Tzom barzel, that means it's the equivalent. He owns the asset when they're married. Therefore, let's say the asset should go up in value. He's the beneficiary. It goes down in value. He takes loss. Let's say he divorces her. He takes the depreciation, right? So therefore, since it's the equivalent of his, therefore they could eat truma because it's like his slave. So if it's avdim lug lo yochlu b'truma, avdim somaras lo yochlu b'truma, ve'elo hein avdim lug. What's the law regarding avdim lug? In meso lo. If they die, who takes the loss? She takes the loss. It's hers. If osiru, let's say they go up in value. So what? She benefits. Api shuchai b'mzono. Although the husband has to feed them, harei lo yochlu b'truma. Right? They're not permitted to eat truma. Ve'elo avdi tzom barzel. In meso lo. Tzom barzel. If they die, he takes the loss. It's if his slave died. Vim hosiru. If they go up in value, hosiru, he takes the profit. Since he has to replace it, he has an obligation. Let's say if he should divorce her, he has to literally, if the slave died, he has to give it, replace it. So since he has full right, he's fully responsible at every level. It's equivalent to his slave, therefore they eat truma. What about she's married to a Kohen? So she's permitted to the Kohen, and she brought into the marriage avodim bein avdim lug bein avdi tzom barzel, regardless what they are. Since she's permitted to eat truma, so the slave's permitted to eat truma. Bas Kohen shenisas. What about a Bas Kohen who normally she could eat to truma, but the moment she marries Yisrael, she can't eat any longer. Ichnis lo avodim bein avdim lug bein avdi tzom barzel. Right? She's only shenisas. Hare'elu lo yochlu b'truma. They can't eat truma. Again, Bas Kohen shenisas. Because why? Because he's Yisrael. Because since she's not permitted to eat truma, regardless. The nichse tzom barzel, it's like the husband. So sure he can't eat. But maybe nichse mulug, yes. The answer is no. Because the moment she marries him, she's not permitted to eat truma any longer.
If she's divorced, she can go back to her father.
If she had no children. If she had no children.
Right. She can go back.
But here she was speaking about she's married to him.
But if she was divorced and she goes back to her father,
So then the slaves eat again.
the slaves can eat. Okay.
Like herself. The slaves are like herself.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's see Rashi in the Mishnah. Amonol Kohen Gadol Chniselo Avdi Mlug. He's going to explain what Avdi Mlug is and Avdi Tzom Barzel. Rashi in the Mishnah. Mashi Isha Machneses Lebalo. A woman brings assets into the marriage. Okay. V'shama lo lekabel bolo v'acharayis, and they make an evaluation. What are the value, right? They make an appraisal. V'acharayis ksuboso, and he takes that. That's written into the ksuba that he's responsible. Then when the payout is the value of those slaves when she brought into the marriage, they were evaluated. They were praised. Moshe kosen dod nedunyo danola slay. Right? She says the dunya that she brought that she brought from her father's home. Mosef Kinegdon, the Kosev Sachakol, Kibalolov Ploni. Kach v'kach Ksubin. He accepts the value, the responsible financial, for whatever they were worth what she brought into the marriage. Korin Tzom Barzel. That's called Tzom Barzel. Vayeishev Machneses Momon Harbe Veno Koseves Kulub Ksuba. She brings other money. It's not written to the Ksuba. Why? Umesheres La'atzma Minitzetz Mlug. That's her. It's her asset. Va'abal Ochel Peiros. The husband only gets the profits, but the principal, Karen Shalok Kayim, that remains intact. Let's say the husband wants to spend her cash. Can't. You take the cash, put it into real estate, he could collect the rent. That he could collect. But let's say you have to take off the rent, you have to pay for upkeep of the property, you take that off also. Because otherwise the property deteriorates. So that's the principle. Okay? The Meisu law. There, if the slaves die, who takes the loss? She takes the loss. Or Pirsu law. If they depreciate in value, she takes the depreciation. Now he goes, why is one asset called Tzom Barzel? It means iron sheep, and the other called Dichsei Mlug. Loshin Tzom Barzel Keren Kayom Shem Poches Nipsat. That's what it means. It means the principle remains intact. Under no circumstance would it be diminished. Even if the slave should die, right, he has full responsibility. He has to reimburse her for whatever the value is. When he dies or when he divorces her. Okay, let's see the Gemara now. So we spoke about a case. If an almonot marries a Kohen Gadol or a Grusha Kohen Hedjot, and she brings assets into the marriage, and he makes an evaluation that he's fully responsible, we see the assets as the husband's, therefore they can eat truma. But if they're nichsei melug, meaning the asset belongs to her, and the husband only gets the benefits of the asset, then since she's not permitted truma, because since she had a forbidden relationship, she's called a zona, she's a chalola, therefore the slaves cannot be better than she is. Okay? So Mara says, V'avdi melug lo yochlu b'truma mai? Why do we say avdi melug can I eat truma? Lehevi ki kinyono shekona kinyon. It should be no worse than he has an asset, and the asset acquires something being like this. What's that? We'll see in a moment. His wife, under normal circumstances, she's his asset. She's called kinyi kaspa. When he marries her, she's his kinyon. Now, she went and bought an asset. She bought a slave, Canaanite slave. Regardless of whose money, doesn't make a difference. But who bought the asset? It's kinyan, but who is she? She's kinyan kaspa of the husband. So we're going to see in Ukota Baraisa that if your kinyan kaspa purchased something else, then the halacha is it identifies with who? With the husband. So if that's the Gemara asks, why can't the slave eat truma even if it's nechsei melug? She can't eat, she's a halala. Because she's not permitted to him. But factually, the asset is the asset of his kinyan kasef, right? Amai lev kinyanuk shekona kinyan, detanyo. Minayin lekohen shenosa isha. Listen, how do we know a kohen marries a woman? V'kona avodim sheochlu b'truma. If he marries a woman or purchases slaves, how did he know the wife can eat truma? And two separate cases. Marries a woman, the woman can eat truma. How do we know if he purchases slaves, the slaves can eat truma? Shenemar v'kohen ki yikne nefesh kinyan kaspo. If a kohen acquires a nefesh, that's a human being, which is his monetary acquisition. So wife is called that, and what? And a slave is called that. Hu yochabo. The Torah says that person's permitted to eat. Uminayin leisha shekonsa avodim. How do we know if the wife buys avodim, slaves? Va'avodim shekonu avodim, or a slave buys slaves. Sheyochel b'truma, that they can also eat truma. Shenemar the kohen kiknen nefesh kinyan kaspo hu yochelbo. Same thing. Kinyanu shkoni kinyan ochel b'truma ochel. The kinyanu who acquires eats truma. Kola ochel machil. Whoever could eat, kol she'eno ochel eno machil. So we're answering like this. It's true. Since the wife herself cannot eat, she's the kinyan kesef. Correct? So we say, if his slave buys a slave, the slave that's purchased by the slave can eat truma. Why? Because the slave can eat truma. But over here, her slave, the slave's connected through her. She can't eat truma because she's a halola, right? Because he had relation, he wasn't permitted. So since she can't eat truma, therefore the slave cannot eat truma. Smar says, "Velo, why? Hari orel." What's halacha if you have a kohen who's not circumcised? He's not permitted to eat truma. He has to be circumcised. What happens if the kohen's norel has a evet kanani who is circumcised? The evet kanani can eat truma. Yeah, the evet kanani belonged to a kohen who's not circumcised. Let's say he had two brothers were circumcised, they died. So the halacha is you're not permitted to circumcise the third child, right? We had before. Now and he's a kohen. Now he has a evet kanani. He himself is not permitted to eat truma because he's an orel. But the slave of the orel can eat. So we see here, although the person cannot eat, but his acquisition can. So over here, why by the woman, although she's not permitted to eat, but since the wife is called kinyan kaspo of the husband, right? So we should permit the slave, which is also the kinyan kesef, to eat because she's married to the husband. So even though the one step that person can't eat, but we see that doesn't interfere with the right for the slave to eat. Because factually it's connected to a Kohen. Right? So since factually the wife is married to a Kohen, she is married to him, and the slave doesn't have the defect of the wife, he should be permitted to eat. It should be no different than the Orel. Well, another case, what about if you have a Kohen's tummy? Norman, Kohen's tummy, he's not permitted to eat truma. Let's say he has a slave that's not tummy. The slave does eat. So you see, although the person who owns the slave cannot eat, yet the slave does eat. One second. Umachilin. So on that, Gemara answers something interesting. Hosam pumayu kovlu. He says there, it's like, what happens if a person has an infection in his mouth that he can't eat? No, it's not temporary. Not temporary. Orel's not temporary. He's not permitted to circumcise himself.
Right, but it's his fault.
It's nothing with fault. What if she's raped? It's not her fault either.
But she can't do it, right?
So you see, it has nothing to do with fault. It's nothing with fault. Right? Over here, Orel, he has a handicap. Okay? This is not a handicap. Here, this is an intrinsic defect. Someone says, Harry Mamzer. Shein ochel machil. You have a case of mamzer. What's the case of mamzer? So Rashi is an interesting case. So he says, by the orel, there there's an obstruction, right? He himself is qualified to eat. There's an obstruction. What's the obstruction? He has a foreskin. We can't remove it. Let's say you don't have a mohel to circumcise him. He's qualified to eat truma, except there's an impediment. A person's tameh, he's qualified to truma. There's an impediment, there's tuma. A woman who's defiled, there's no impediment there. She's not qualified to what? To eat truma because she's defiled. That's not impediment. She doesn't make the grade to eat truma. The orel, he's a full kohen, except there's an impediment, there's an obstruction. What's it called? The foreskin. The tuma is an impediment. So, what? His slaves can. Because what he has is only an impediment. With the woman, the Gemara wants to say, the woman, it's more than an impediment. She's a defiled woman. That's intrinsic in the woman. So since she can't eat truma, her slave is not permitted to eat truma. That's how we differentiate between the orel, the slave of the orel, and the slave of the woman who's a zona, who's a chalola. No, the Kohen is permitted to eat truma. So but he's still permitted. Doesn't make a difference.
He's still permitted.
He's permitted. Talking about her slave, the oral slave. The oral slave eats truma. The Kohen that's tummy, his slave eats truma. But the woman who's defiled, although she's the wife of the Kohen, her slave cannot eat truma. Because there it's not an impediment. There she's, inherently, she has no relevance to eating truma. Because she's a chalola. Wait a second. So what about mamzer? Mamzer is an inherent. What's the case? What's the case? So he says, there you go. Bas Yisrael shenisas l'kohen. A Bas Yisrael marries a Kohen. You got it? Very interesting. A Bas Yisrael marries a Kohen, and she has a daughter. Okay? And now the daughter marries a mamzer, which she's not permitted to. Okay? The child of that marriage, that union, is what? It's a mamzer. So the grandchild's a mamzer. Okay? V'yolda ben umeso. Now the daughter dies. Right? The daughter of the wife of the Kohen dies, but she left over a son who's a mamzer. Right? The grandchild of the wife who's married to the Kohen's a mamzer. Now her husband dies. Right? Is she permitted to eat truma? The wife of the one who originally married the Kohen, she's permitted? Because the halacha is like this. If a woman's not a Bas Kohen, she marries a Kohen, she eats truma. Let's say her husband dies, she's childless, she stops eating truma. But if there's any connection to the original husband, a descendant, then she continues to eat truma. Now, the grandson here is a mamzer. So she's eating truma because of what? Because she has a grandson, a mamzer. Mamzer is an inherent defect. He has no relevance to kuna. So we see, although the mamzer cannot eat truma, the mamzer allows the grandmother to eat truma. So why over here, although she can't eat truma because she's defiled, why can't her slave eat truma? Because she's connected to the Kohen? That's the Gemara's question, okay? Mamzer she'nochel umachil. He can't eat, truma is the mamzer, but his grandmother eats because of him. Omer Avino. Because, right, she was married to a Kohen. Her husband died. But she has a grandson who's a mamzer. The grandson of mamzer was her husband's grandson too, but her husband died. So since there's a remnant of the marriage, right, let's say a woman's married to a Kohen, and he dies and she has a son who's a Kohen. Does she eat truma? No question, she eats truma. Correct? So over here, let's say her son has a grandson who's a mamzer. So, and the son dies. She still continues to eat because the grandchild is the grandchild of the what? Of the Kohen. Even though he's cut off from the kun, it doesn't make a difference. That's the Gemara's questions. You see here, even though challah be the same thing. So even though she's a chalala, so she cannot eat, but why can't our slave eat? Because she's the kinyan kaspo of the husband, right? Omer Avino, kinyan ochel komer, kinyan ochel umachil, she'ena ochel eina machil. Here, so the Gemara answers. The Gemara answers that kinyan ochel, that if you're the kinyan, the one who has the kinyan is ochel, she owns the slave. If she eats, the slave eats. That's kinyan. Kinyan ochel machil, she'ein ochel, but if the one who actually owns the slave cannot eat, he can't feed. So over there by the grandchild, why does she eat? Because she's the wife of the husband, of the Kohen. As long as there's progeny left, she's still called the wife of the Kohen. Has nothing to do with the mamzer. Here, why do you want the slave to eat? The slave belongs to the woman. If the one who owns the slave cannot eat, then the slave cannot eat. So the mamzer is not comparable to this case. Why initially was she permitted to eat? Because she was the wife of the Kohen. She still identifies with the Kohen as long as there's any seed of the Kohen in existence. Kosher seed, not kosher seed. Rabbi says like this: Midoraisa mechalachli. Rav is on a Torah level, she's permitted to eat. The slave could eat, even though she's not. So when we say her slave cannot eat, the Mishnah says if she brings in nichsim lug, because it's her slave cannot eat truma. He says it's rabbinic. On a Torah level, her slave should be able to eat. V'rabbanu degazivu. Why? Kedei shetomer ani eini ocheles avdi einen ochlin zoni etzlo. Right? Shetomer, I'm not eating. Avdi avade ein ochlin. So what do they say? So zoni etzlo. So therefore, what's going to be? So we want the husband to see her in the most negative light, because we wanted the husband to divorce her. The guy, he's a Kohen. So by saying she has no relevance to the kuna, her assets cannot eat truma. She can't eat truma. You know something? She's off limits totally. She says, if that's the case, he'll divorce her. We want him to divorce her. But if you say you see her slaves as if they're still connected to the kuna, then already it's not so simple. He's divorcing her so soon. If he sees her totally divorced from him at every level in terms of accommodation, then he's going to divorce her. You know, many years ago, there was a person, it's unbelievable, just Sephardic Jew, whatever. He was once married, got divorced, was divorced. He was living with a shiksa. And whatever, he was a Kohen, the person. So he says, you know, she enjoys eating pastrami on club better than a Jew. No, that's a Jewish characteristic. Therefore, she's a Jewishness to her. You understand what we're talking about over here? You're a Kohen, she's a shiksa. You know, where are you going? You understand? If his wife, who's not permitted, her slaves eat truma, you know, we could identify with another. But if we don't identify with anything, that even your slaves are not permitted to eat truma, you know something? You're out the door. Ravashi Amagzeru Shemetachil Lachamiso. Know what the problem is? If we allow her slaves to, on a Torah level, they're permitted to eat. What happens now? He divorces her. So what are they going to say? She'll continue giving him truma after, right? They'll say, when he was alive, she ate truma, her slaves ate truma. They'll continue eating truma, but they're not permitted to eat truma any longer, right? Because they were considered his kid. Through her, they were, right? So let's make the same zera. A woman, a Basio is married to a Kohen, she's permitted to eat truma. What happens if he divorces her? She's not permitted. So let's make the same zera. When she was married, she could eat truma. Now she's divorced. What do you mean? Let's be concerned. How do you allow her to eat truma when she's married? Maybe if he divorces her, she'll continue eating truma. So you see, that's not a concern. So the same thing here. When she's married to the Kohen, her slaves permitted to eat truma. She's divorced, they won't eat truma. Because if you're concerned, so even with Abbas Yisrael, she marries a truma. How do you allow her to eat truma? Let's be concerned. If he divorces her, she's what? She's not going to eat truma. Right? Shem b'toch lachem yiso elo mervashi balmona kohenes dasl ruyi meikoro achli b'truma deveinosha in sivule lai achli b'truma de gavroi. 1 second. What are we concerned? 1 second. 1 second. Elo me'at zer shem b'toch lachem yiso balmona kohenes Bas Kohen Shabo Letruma Sovia Mimises Balo Yamridon Yochlu Avdi Mluk Chai Bala Kohen Godel Ze Mishum Kinyonu Shekona Kinyon Logora Hachalola Mievet Shekona Avodim Ashilo Ruye Hetero Achmi Soso Achim Troma Machas Sovia. What's Elom Ravashi Balmona Kohenis? Yeah, this we're talking about an Almona. She's a Kohenis. A Kohen Godel marries a woman who's a Bas Kohen, who was a divorce, who was a widow. So what happens now? So originally, Ba'amora Kohenis, so there, the Asla Ruye Meikoro Achli Bitruma, the Veinosha. 1 second. In Sivu Leilhai, Achli Bitruma de Gavroi, Vada Hajuli Nirsi Kamoi, V'lo yodin mikora lo shaviso lenafsho chalolo. How shaviso nafsho chalolo? Yeah, we're concerned about. A regular almana, Bas Kohen, a husband dies. What happens? She had no children from her husband. She continues to eat. She eats truma. Why? Because her father's a Kohen. What happens if now she marries a Kohen Gadol? Right? What happens to her? She's not permitted to eat truma. She's a chalola. Let's say her slaves eat truma when she's married. And then afterwards, she's divorced. She's going to say it like this. Before I married the man, I ate truma. She doesn't realize, but now, when she married the Kohen Gadol, she became a chalola. She became defiled. So let's say now the Kohen Gadol divorces her. She's going to say, I'm going back. So if you let her slaves to eat, so that she'll understand, she'll say, you know what, my slaves eat, I'll go back and eat. But let's say even her slaves weren't allowed to eat. So if we don't allow the slaves to eat, there's not even a consideration she's going to eat. She's here. So if that's the case, that's a concern. If she originally was a Bas Kohen who was an Almana, marries a Kohen Gadol, so we're concerned after he divorces, she may continue eating, well, she's not continue eating. But so what about if she's a Bas Yisrael, marries a Kohen? Right? A Bas Yisrael marries a Kohen, and she has slaves. Over there's not a consideration. Before she got married to the Kohen, she never ate Truma. So why would she think that after she's divorced now, she should be able to eat Truma? So therefore, her slave we should differentiate. The Bas Kohen, who's an Almana who marries the Kohen Gadol, her slaves can't eat Truma. But a Bas Yisrael who has slaves, who's an Almana, her slaves should eat. So on that, the Gemara says, Balmanusa lo pligi, Rabbonon. We don't differentiate, because one Almana we don't make any differentiation, whether you're an Almana who's a Bas Yisrael or an Almana who's a Bas Kohen. Okay? Itmar. Now, interesting Shaila. We said, what's Nichsei Tzom Barzel? Nichsei Tzom Barzel means when she comes into the marriage, she has assets. We make an evaluation, what they're worth. They're written into the ksuba that the husband says to her, the assets that you brought into the marriage, and he's fully responsible that upon divorce or death, she's reimbursed for the full value of the assets from the time of the marriage. Okay? Now the question is, what happens now she gets divorced? The asset still exists. Does he have to return the asset, or he has to return the value of the asset, the full value? That's the question. We said, Nichsei Tzom Barzel, because we consider it the husband's, so therefore they could eat Truma, right? The slaves could eat Truma even though she's an Almana. She wasn't permitted to the Kohen Gadol. But factually, whose assets are they? They're Kohen's assets. They could eat Truma. So now he's going to divorce her. So now she has to be repaid for the full value of the asset when she got married. So does he have to return the asset, or he only has to return the value asset? He says, I want to keep the asset. I'll give you its value. So that's the machlokas. Itmar. Hamachneses shum lebalo. He omeres kelai anido telu. She says, I want all my vessels. I want my vessels back. What I brought, I want it back. Hu omer domim aniose. He says, I'm paying value. I'm retaining the asset. I'll pay you its value. Hadinimi. So whose position is more correct? The wife or the husband? Right? Is the husband's obligation only to give money, or he has to actually give back the asset? Rav Yehuda Omar, Rav Yehuda says, Hadinimo. She's right. Because she only transferred over the asset. Why? Because as long as they're married. But upon divorce or upon widowhood, it goes back. Rabbi Yom no Hadinimo. He's correct. And he only pays, whether it's a slave, whether it's a vessel, whatever it is, a tool. Rabbi Yehuda Omar Hadinimo Mishum Shvach Beisavir Didor. Because what does that mean, Shvach Didor? It's Shvach because it's something she brought from her father's home. She wants to ask, there's some kind of connection. She never wrote it over forever. It's as long as we're married, so we're together. Once I'm divorced, I'm widowed, I want it back, because that was what? That's part of the family estate, the vessel. Rabbi Yom Hadinimo, since we say if the slave should die, who takes the loss? The husband. If they increase in value, he gets the profit. Because he's fully responsible. That's what we say, K'di Truma. So if that's the case, we say it's his. So if it's his, the agreement is he only has to repay the value, but not the actually asset. You got it? It increases for him. That increment of increase. He could sell it.
No, he married for $5.
So let's say afterwards, let's say he agrees to give back the slave to the wife 20 years down the road. No, he has to. He has 5. He has to pay a full 5. But it's worth. He married her. The slave was a little child. Now it's a full adult, grown adult. So now he has to pay. He doesn't have to pay the increase. What? He has to pay the 5 what it was worth when they got married, because the profit belongs to him. Right? Whatever it was worth, more or less, his responsibility is what it was worth at the time of the marriage. Okay? Tell you what difficulty is over here. Rabami says he's in the right. Rav Yehuda says she has the right to take the asset back. There's a halacha regarding ribis, interest. If a person sells something and there's a buyback agreement, right? I sell you something and I tell you, if I should ever come up with the cash, even 20 years from now, you have to sell it back to me. So if I never buy it back from you, it's yours. What about if I buy it back from you? What is it? Then it's a loan. That means the money all along, a buyback means it's not yours. That means because the seller always has a right to recoup it. So that it's classified as a loan. It's not classified as a sale. So over here, if the wife always has a right to reclaim the asset from the husband, right? So if that's the case, it's equivalent of what? It's a loan, right? I'm just saying. So my difficulty is if it's the equivalent of a loan, it's hers. So if that's the case, but we say they could eat truma. They could eat truma, the slave. So I'm saying, but how could they eat truma? How could they eat truma? But factually, if it's hers, okay, I have to work it out. Omer Rav Safro, Mik Toni Vein Shalo, right? Rav Ami's proving because it says, because he's fully responsible, therefore we see it as his, therefore he doesn't have to return it. So Rav Safra says, Mik Toni Vein Shalo. It doesn't say the reason why they can eat truma is because they're his. Hoel V'chai Bachri Yuson. It says because he's fully responsible for better or for worse. Hoel V'chai Bachri Toni. Ulolam Navdi Deininu. They're not his. So now the Gemara is a question. Whenever the person who rents it takes possession, he has liability. You mean that permits the slave to eat truma? Vatan, you listen to that. Here, a Yisrael who rents a cow from a Kohen. It's a Kohen's cow. So now the cow, if you want to feed the cow truma feed, the Kohen can feed his animal truma feed. A Yisrael is not permitted to feed his own cow truma feed. What about if Yisrael rents the cow from the Kohen? He's renting it. He's a renter. So we'll see in a moment. He's permitted to feed the cow grits of truma because we see the cow is the Kohen's cow. Okay? Kohen shesachah parv Yisrael. What about if a Kohen goes and rents an animal from Yisrael? Although he could feed his own cow truma grits. Although he has the responsibility to feed the animal, the renter has the responsibility. Lo yachne kashini truma. He's not permitted to feed the cow grits of truma, right? So you see, although he has liability, right? If it's stolen or lost, who takes the Kohen? But yet he can't feed it. So you see, even though you have chai bachus in this, and Mara says, what kind of question is this? Although he has liability, if it's stolen or lost, he has to compensate the owner of the cow. But what about if something happens beyond his control? What happens if it's diminished the animal? The renter has no obligation to reimburse. But over here we say that if the animal, let's say, is worth less, who takes the loss? The husband. So therefore, because in every aspect of the animal, the husband is fully responsible, so it's not comparable to a person who rents. A renter is only a equivalent of Shem Socher, right? Mi mechayiv holodami el. What is it comparable to? El l'seifo. Yisrael shesham poro mikoin. Let's say they had an agreement. Yisrael goes and evaluates a cow that belonged to a kohen. It says lo yachileno kashe truma. He's not permitted to feed the animal truma grits. Avol kohen shesham poro Yisrael. But a kohen who goes and evaluates the cow that belongs to a Yisrael yachne kashe truma. So what do you see from there? So we see from there that we see the animal as what? As if it's the asset of the Kohen. But again, you see, it doesn't mean it's his necessarily. If you have full liability, even though it's not yours, the animal's permitted. So therefore there's no proof. You have to return the animal upon divorce, or the item she bought in. That he's permitted to feed the animal, that's only because Chai Bach because he has full liability. Yosef Rabba Rav Yosef Bishili Pirkei to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman gave a lecture. So Rav Yosef and Rabba, they were sitting after the lecture was completed. That was given by Rav Nachman, Yosef Kamri, and they were discussing among themselves the subject matter. What did they say? Tanya Kavosi Rabbi Yehuda, Tanya Kavosi Rabbi Ami. We have a bride that supports Rabbi Yehuda that he has to return the asset. The husband has to return the asset to the wife if they're divorced or she's widowed. But we have another price which is supposed to Ramami, no, that if he wants to retain the asset, he can give her cash. So he can give her the value. What's the price? Tanya Kavosi Ravami, Avdi Tzom Barzil. Slaves which were, the husband took full responsibility. Yotzim Shein Vayi and Liish, you hear this? The Torah says if you have an Eved Kanani and the master should knock out the eye or the tooth of the slave is emancipated. Let's say a third party should knock out the tooth of the eye. He's a damager. The slave remains a slave. It's only the master who knocks out the tooth of the eye. What happens? The wife brings in avodim into the marriage. He makes an evaluation, takes full responsibility. Now the husband goes and knocks the eye of the slave out or his tooth. So the Brisa says the slave goes free. So what does that mean? So you see there, we see the slave literally as his. Right? So now, upon divorce, he doesn't have to return the slave. He has to give value. Since you see when they're married, you see the slave literally is. Right? Abu lo leisha. But what happens if the wife knocks out the tooth of the eye? The slave doesn't go free. So what does that mean? So you see the slave as whose slave is it? It's the husband's slave, not the wife's slave. As a result of that, when they're divorced, he doesn't have to give back the slave. He has to give back the value of the slave. Tanya Kavosi Rabbi. Well, we have another brisa. So the first brisa supports Rabami that you don't have to return the slave. You return its value, the value. Tanya Kavosi Rabbi Yehuda Hamachneses Shom LeBailo. A person makes the valuation, and the woman brings the asset into the marriage. Imrotza Ba'al Limkor Lo Yimkor. If the husband wants to sell the asset, he's not permitted to sell it. Right? Let's say he brought in something into the marriage himself to guarantee the ksuba. He made an evaluation that was the asset that guaranteed the ksuba. Because they're concerned, what happens if he divorces, there's no money. Right? So they both agreed that this asset will ensure that the ksuba could be paid. So the husband's not permitted to sell it. Even though initially it was his Mochru Shneim Leparnoso. What about they sold it because they needed just to cover their livelihood, their expenses? The incident happened. Says the husband, if the wife sold it because she needed extra cash, the husband has a right to extract the asset from the purchasers. So what does that mean? And if he sells it also, it's not valid. Why isn't it valid? Why isn't it valid? It's his asset. The answer is not his asset. It's her asset. Because since it has to be in place that when he dies or divorces her, he has to return that asset. Therefore, so we say it's her asset. If it's his asset, you give her compensation, value. So why is the sale not a sale? The husband sells it, it should be a valid sale. The answer is no, because if he divorces, he has to give it back the asset. So therefore, it's not his to sell. You hear the difference. The question is, if the husband divorces her, she wants the asset back, does he give it back to her? So we have an argument. So Bryce says that if the husband should sell off the asset when they're married, you get back the asset. You could cancel the sale. But if you say the husband, upon divorce, he could give you the value of the asset, so why, when he sells the asset when they're married, why isn't it a valid sale? Why is it any worse than when he divorces, he could retain it? The answer is no, because when he divorces her, he has to give back the asset. So if the sale now is a sale, so where's the asset going to be when he divorces her? He sold it off already. Therefore, he never had a right to sell that original asset. You got it? You understand what I'm saying? No. You see, it's not a compensation. He has no right to sell because he has to give back the asset. No. If he sells the sale, it's not a sale. Could I sell you a thing? If I sell you a thing, is it a sale? It's not a sale. So him selling her asset, it's not a sale. But if you tell me when they're divorced, he could retain it, so why isn't the sale a sale? Let the sale be a sale. The answer is because when he divorces, he has to give it back the asset. But if the sale's a sale now, where she can get the assets if they're divorced? Okay, it's clear. Now, how do we rule? Does he have to give back the asset? Does we have a bride supporting Rav Ami? We have a bride supporting Rav Yehuda. Omar Rav Nachman halacha k'Rav Yehuda. That what? That she has a right to claim the asset back. Okay? He can't sell it. Cannot sell it. Definitely. Look. It's fine. No tonight. The understanding is when you enter a marriage, you bring assets to the marriage, where even where he has full responsibility, upon divorce, that asset has to come back.
That's not her tonight, that's just his dinner.
That's the understanding. That's the takona.
The first part of it says he has to return the value.
No, that's an argument. That's Rabbi Yehuda Rav Ami. So he says we rule not like Rav Ami. You pay return value. You have to return the asset. So if you have to return that, that's why.
What the value of the asset is.
No, he has he has to make up the difference. Let's say the asset depreciated. He has to give her cash to make up the difference.
If the asset increased, then she has to pay him the difference.
Then she has to pay him the difference. Okay? Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. So Rav is the name of Nachman. We rule like Rabbi Yehuda that she's in the right. Amalei Rav Rav Tanya Kavasi Rabami. He said, but we have a bride supporting Rav Ami. Someone says, Avagab Tanya Kavasi Rabami. Even though we have a bride supporting Rav Ami, Mistamra Taimo de Rav Yehuda, Mishum Shavach Beisovio. Because there's a concept. This is, something you can't sell off her heirloom. She brought this from her father's house, this item. Since this is what she has for her family, you can't retain something. So because it's logical, we have two prices. One supports one. Okay? Hayitzo da'ilei legavri itztalo de milso. Bichsuboso. A woman brought a silk coat. That was the asset she brought into the marriage. And it was written to the ksuba. Right? There's nichsei tzon barazel, but it was a silk coat. Shochiv. And then the husband died. So what should happen? She should get the coat back. Right? Shaklu yasmi. Upersua misna. They took the coat and they used it as tachrichim and covered the father with it. So if it's tachrichim, what happens? It's Yisur Hano. Right? But that's what the orphans did. They took the coat, which he should have gotten back, and they put it on the corpse. Omer Rava, Kanya Misna. Yeah. Rava says that the corpse acquired it, meaning it's impacted negatively, she can't get it back. She can't get it back. Omar Lei, Nanoi Breder of Yosef, Breder Rava of Kano. Why was the asset? What about if you would have taken somebody else's asset and put it on the corpse? Would it have been affected? You had no permission to use it as shrouds. Mm-hmm. Right? Definitely not. It only becomes affected because it has relevance to the person who died. Right? So you say the Yisomim, the orphans, they inherited their father. But this is not part of the inheritance. If it belongs to her, so why was the coat affected negatively? Right? So that's what he asked him. He asked Rabbi, how do you rule the Kanya Misna, that the mess acquired it, and therefore it's Yisur no. Omalei nanoi berev Yosef l'Rava Rav Kano. V'omar Rava Omar Rav Nachman halok Reb Yehuda. Rav himself said, name of Reb Nachman, we rule like Reb Yehuda, that she gets the asset back. So if she gets the asset back upon death or divorce, so that means they never had a right to put it on the mess. It belongs to her. So why is the asset also about no?
Now, as he's saying, it's part of the base. So that means there's damages and they have to replace it.
No.
No, why not?
If somebody takes your shirt and puts it on a mess,
Right.
is that shirt, could you get your shirt back? Without permission. Somebody takes your shirt, puts it on a mess.
It's a mazik.
No, he's not a mazik. The shirt is not affected as much as an iota.
But they took something that...
So you get your shirt back. You get your shirt back. We're saying the reason why the coat becomes Isurei Hano. Why does it become Isurei Hano? Because they had a right to put it on the mess. But you're not permitted to benefit from it. Anything associated with a corpse you cannot benefit from.
Right.
So if you tell me you had a right to put it on the corpse,
That's one thing.
but they have no right. The orphans have a right to put it on the corpse. Yes or no? If we're ruling like Rabbi Yehuda that she's supposed to get it back,
They had no right to do it.
so that means it's not affected. It's like taking your shirt and putting it on the mess. It's not affected.
Okay. But the reality is that they did. They took
But it doesn't mean anything. It's not affected.
there's no
The
tumah.
shirt,
There's no tumah.
no, tum is something else. You bring it to the mikveh.
I'm asking, what's the liability? I just-
No liability.
He dies, it belongs to her.
It belongs to her.
So,
So it's like taking
okay.
Howard Birnbaum's shirt and putting it on a mess, right? So that's his question. How could you say rubber rule that the code is not permitted to benefit
Right,
if in fact it belongs to her? They took something that doesn't belong to them, put it on the mess.
right.
That's the question he asked Rava. Okay. V'amar Rava Rav Nachalok Reb Yehuda. Omar lei see Milo Mod Reb Yehuda the Mechusa Gavaino. The cave and the Mechusa Gavaino B'Reshusei Koi. You hear this? That it's true. She has a right to claim. The moment he dies, the fact is, it's his until she makes the claim.
Okay.
So therefore, since she has a right to claim it, but until she claims it, it's theirs. I mean, it's like they have a lien. You have a right. So you know something, the moment you associate it with the mess, the right is what is revoked. As he says. Hear this. Let's say a person borrows money. His property is lien to the debt. Let's say the borrower now goes and consecrates the property. Does the lender have a lien any longer? Lien's gone. Because the moment it's consecrated, it revokes the lien. Right? So over here, if somebody has... Because it's Hegdish. No, he does have a right to do it. You have a right to collect if I don't pay. Right? But at this moment, what is it? It's a lien. You have a right. A right doesn't mean it's yours. The asset belongs to the one who possesses the asset. So therefore, if it belongs to him, he consecrates it. What happens? It revokes the lien. Over here, it's the same thing. The wife has a right to reclaim the asset. But it's still, until she reclaims it, it's only a right. But who does the asset belong to? It belongs to the heirs. To the heirs, because they inherited their father. If that's the case, when they put it on the mess, so it's like equivalent. Their garment was put on the mess. Therefore, it revokes her claim, her right to ask for the item back. No, of course, definitely they have to do. They have to compensate her. Yeah, because everybody agrees. You have to repay her for the value. That's not a question. That was the whole discussion before. If she wants the item back, do you have to give her back the item, or you don't have to give back the item? Everybody agrees. Minimally, you have to pay the value. That was in the ksuba. Upon death or divorce, so you're going to be repaid what you brought into the marriage. So what is repaid? The object or the value? So we're saying, even if you hold the object, but you have to first make the claim. You have a right to claim the object back, but until you make the claim, it's not your object. You have a right to the object. It's like a lender. Once you take possession, it's yours. But until you take possession, what is it? It's only a right. Therefore, when you put it on the mess, that revokes the claim in the item.
And you would then still
Shibud.
would make the claim.
Tviyah. Tviyah. Tovea.